righty, and good morning and welcome to Hymn of the Day. It seems like only yesterday, except that I really screwed up everything that I know what to do. Nice to see you this morning. Today we are doing a wonderful one, Christ for the World We Sing. There are 3 texts in our hymnal that go with that tune there. Tom?
Turn on your camera.
Turn on my camera. Oh, yeah, let's do that. There we go. All right, yes. So 3 tunes to this text, and this is the one that we're doing today because it's kind of bold. It's a bold text. I'm not sure if we as a church are a bold text, but I think we should aspire to that. The text was written by Samuel Wolcott, the Reverend Samuel Wolcott. He was a Congregationalist minister and a missionary, very big in the missionary field. In fact, he worked as a young man for the Missionary Society, and then was a missionary himself in Syria and in Lebanon and throughout the Middle East. He worked hard there. His first wife died after only 2 years of marriage. She died in Syria. And then his second wife, well, she got busy. And they had a lovely life back in England, where he was a pastor at several Congregationalist churches. When he was 56, he wrote his first hymn, and that was this one, Christ for the World We Sing. He really took his life's work as an inspiration for that. Then he wrote 200 hymns more, and I think 3 of them are in more than 10 hymnals. Get it? So this one is in about 500 hymnals. Of the rest of his hymns, 3 of them are in more than 10, but not many more than 10. All right, so this is the hymn that we have, Christ for the World We Sing. No, not Christ for this particular community, this neighborhood of St. Louis Park, not for Minnesota, Christ for the world we sing. And I want to raise an image for you, a metaphor for you. Our lives are a song. When we live, that is a song. We are singing when we live. What do we mean? Well, a song has sort of rules and patterns to it. There's an introduction, there's an ending, there's a harmony that is the structure for that song, and there's a melody. When it goes up, it has to come down, all these kinds of principles. It can have an emotional component. It can have a narrative component. The best songs combine them. Doesn't that sound like your life? There's emotion to your life, and there are rules to your life, and there's a melody, there's a story that you want to tell. That's your life. And this is what he is saying. Christ for the world we sing. In other words, this is the world we are. Our lives are Christ for the world. And we say, Christ for the world we sing, the world to Christ we bring. We are the ones who are bringing the world of Christ, the world of compassion, the world of understanding and respect and love. We are doing that. Now, the song goes through 4 stanzas. And each of these stanzas here, as you can see, it changes right here in that 3rd line. It goes from loving zeal. Yep, we're all impassioned. When we get out of church, we are ready to go, ready to spread that gospel. Then we need to continue it with fervent prayer. We go out knowing that we are all together. We are in one accord. Not in my car, but in the sense of harmony together. And we go because we are joyful, and our lives are a joyful song. Now, we go out to the poor and them that mourn. We go to the faint and to the overborne, those who have too much on their shoulders. We go to those who are sin sick. We go to those who have sorrow. Christ heals them, and we'll hear a story about that today in our gospel lesson. Second stanza, Christ, for the world we sing, the world to Christ we bring with fervent prayer. We are praying for the wayward, the lost, those who are tossed by restless passions. Been there, right? Restless passions, you can't sleep because you're trying to figure out how things are going to happen. Redeemed at countless cost from dark despair. This is what we do when we bring the world to Christ. In the third stanza, with us the work to share, with us the reproach to dare, with us the cross to bear, for Christ our Lord, we are doing it all together. All of our friends are doing it with Ben and Tom and Father Tom and Deacon Diane and Carol and everybody. We are all doing it together. We are in one accord, and so we can have a joyful song and redeem those souls whose days reclaimed from error's ways. We will inspire with hope and praise, because our world is the world of Christ. That is the world that we are bringing people to, the world of Christ. This world comes to the world of Christ. That's us. That's what we do. Great, bold song, and it was written by Felice Giardini. All right. Very little known about him now, but in his day, he was the biggest competitor. He was the high V to George Frederick Handel's Lunds and Byerly, because the two of them worked in London at the same time. Giardini was the great violin virtuoso. When he was 11 years old, he was already playing in his theater, in the local theater orchestra, and he was known throughout Europe in his lifetime as the greatest violinist of his age. He was a composer, a conductor, a violinist, did a lot of touring, but he worked in London in the 1700s, as did Handel, as the director of Italian opera. That's, in fact, why Handel went to London, so he could conduct and perform operas in Italian until the Italian opera rage kind of fizzled away. But that's how Handel made his living, as an Italian opera conductor. Same deal with Felice Giardini, who was the director of the main theater in London at the time. He was also a very good friend of Johann Christian Bach, who came to London in the 1750s. Handel, by the way, died in 1759. So he was a friend of Johann Christian Bach, the son of Johann Sebastian Bach, and he was a composer. This Giardini was a composer, especially of chamber music and opera. The music that is done today by him is mainly his string trios for violin, viola, and cello. It's an unusual kind of genre, believe it or not, because those three instruments really have different kind of resonances. A violin can blow a viola out of the water unless the composer is careful, and Giardini is pretty careful. Now, he wrote in the style galant, in the stile, if you were to do it in Italian, but in French it's style galant. So his music, Giardini's music, has a lot of monumentality to it. And you will hear that in some of these repeated phrases. That's an example of that style galant, those repeated phrases and a kind of sturdiness to it. An example of the style galant. But he did not do this alone. This song, and I can't find any source for it. Don't know if it's from an opera or concerto or whatever. I don't know where it's from. But Lowell Mason found it, and Lowell Mason adapted it for hymnals. Lowell Mason is the great American arranger, composer, music educator back in the early 1800s. He is the one who brought music education into the schools. He advocated for the best, the finest music to be done in churches. He was the one who wanted Handel's music and Mozart's music and Haydn's music and Giardini's music done in churches and not necessarily the rough-hewn early American style. He was at loggerheads with that style. And Lowell Mason is the guy who gave us this song, which is a pretty churchy kind of hymn. It's a bold hymn. It has that magnificent, bold melody. What a great bold step. This is not for introvert. This is not for chickens, okay? It starts high, and then the world to Christ we bring with loving zeal. That big change, there's where it changes. There's where every stanza changes, so the whole melody changes at that spot. And so we sing it. So here we go. Everybody grab your hymnal. We're at 537, and we're going to do this song. Ready? Christ for the world we sing, the world to Christ we bring with loving zeal. The poor and them that mourn, the faint and overborne, sin sick and sorrow worn, whom Christ doth heal. Christ for the world we sing, the world to Christ we bring with fervent prayer. The wayward and the lost, by restless passions tossed, redeemed at countless cost from dark despair. Christ for the world we sing, the world to Christ we bring with one accord. With us the work to share, with us reproach to dare, with us the cross to bear, for Christ our Lord. Christ for the world we sing, the world to Christ we bring with joyful song. The newborn souls whose days reclaimed from error's ways, inspired with hope and praise, to Christ belong. A great bold hymn to take us through the week and take us through this new season. I mean, Labor Day's here, school's starting pretty soon, everything's changing, but we are here to sing with our lives. Christ for the world we sing. The words by the Reverend Samuel Wolcott, and the music has two names, Moscow, or Italian hymn. Moscow is where Felice Giardini died. It's also adapted by Lowell Mason, let's not forget that. So next week, the shortest hymn in the hymnal. If you have comments, I'd love to hear from you. Please email me, johnhoffacker@gmail.com. For right now, let's see, I think we have maybe a few moments. If folks have any questions or anything, I'd be happy to chat with you.